Dune, a film that won Oscars for Best Sound, Visual Effects, Product Design, Original Score, Film Editing, Cinematography, and Best Motion Picture of the Year for the year 2022. The film was released in 2021 and was directed by Denis Villeneuve and had the soundtrack done by Hans Zimmer. It was based on the Dune novel by Frank Herbert and was the second adaptation of the book. The movie follows the story of Paul Atreides, a young man who was born into great power that he fully doesn't understand yet. He doesn't want to leave his planet that has everything he needs, such as water and a good ecosystem. However, his family must go to a planet called Arrakis. This planet is dry and has a very rough ecosystem. However, it has the most valuable resource, melange, on it. It powers the whole galaxy, and the Empire has control over it. Without it, interstellar travel would not be possible and the whole economy would collapse. Once Paul arrives, his power activates because of the melange in the environment. Some of the themes throughout the movie are imperialism, politics, capitalism, and humanism. The movie touches upon these subjects many times and even has the soundtrack playing parts into them to help you better understand it. While Hans Zimmer was in the process of making the score for Dune, he said that he adapted the mindset of a 13-year-old boy, as this was the age when he first read the Dune book. He had an idea in mind of what he wanted the film to sound like, so he wanted to do it with his own unique rhythm. He did not want to have the classic science fiction movie sound of orchestral pieces being played for the soundtrack. He wanted it to be as if you were on a completely different planet with different ideas and cultures moving about you. To make this a reality, he needed to invent different sounds and even instruments in order for it to work. To fit with the theme of humanism, Hans Zimmer made the human voice the most important part of the soundtrack. He said that, quote, "It is the one thing that would not age, the one thing that in the future would still be valid." To help achieve this, he brought in Laura Coulter. She is a very talented vocalist that helps create chants for different soundtracks. This helped bring in the feeling of familiarity and importance, which allowed for the scenes to reach their full potential. In addition to this, they had their own language written out by a linguist. This is what was used to make the Sadwakar chant in the film. To create that type of sound, Hans Zimmer overused a compressor. A compressor is a device that reduces the difference between the softest and loudest parts of a sound. He then broke apart the language that the linguist wrote for them into each syllable. After this, he used the compressor on each of the syllables and then put it back together. This allowed for the sound to be completely different, but still something that might be of human nature. This is what they used to open the movie, and it allowed the movie to start off completely different than one would expect. It gave it a whole different tone, and the idea of something dark and ominous was achieved by this. To combine with this, he also had Pedro Utash play more human-like sounds on the flute. He told him to play, quote, "Play as if the wind were whistling through the desert dunes." After he did this, Zimmer asked him to add in the sounds of vowels. This helped the sound become slightly more recognizable and to allow one to understand that people or out-of-the-world beings were going to be in a scene. By using the flute in this way, they were able to give the impression that something was alive in the air and moving about. It was able to make the scene much more suspenseful because of the use of humanism. Another decision Hans Zimmer made was, instead of having trumpets bringing out the royal family, he decided to use bagpipes. This connects to humans again because, like us, they also must breathe. You can hear this in the way that they play. In addition to this, they were also much more universal in different regions and cultures across Earth than trumpets, so it would be an imaginal sound for them to play on Arrakis.
My lungs taste the air of time blown past fallen sand.
By connecting the soundtrack into the themes of the movie, it is able to help build up the movie for the audience. I felt that the movie relates to humanism a lot, and there are many different scenes in the movie to help show this, even down to how the soundtrack was made. It focused on the human voice.
Here's the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings obliteration.